I'm sure you've heard of the Greasy pole. Have you ever heard that? See, Cas told that he put up a Greasy pole and Dolly climbed it and got the money. All right, now here's what happened. Willie Brewster and Fred Smith decided that they was going to put a jamboree on up to Pines Theater in Sevierville. Okay, what they did, of course, we'd go up, all of us go up there and play, and it got to where they were sitting in the aisles. I mean, just standing around. They got so many. But what they did, they came up with the idea of a greasy pole. Okay, now in the summertime, you can go out when the sap is up in the trees. You can go up and cut like a, say, poplar tree. And when the sap is up, you can just take that tree, and when it lays down, you can just cut a little groove right down it through the bark. And they've got what they call a spud. It's just a little thing, made kind of like a kitchen spatula, but it was made with a 3-foot handle and out of metal. And you could get it under that bark, and when the sap was up, it would peel out all of that bark off, just sometimes 4-foot lengths or something. Well, that would make, and of course the pole was so slick at that time, and poplars didn't have many limbs on them. They could cut one that was 25 feet high without a limb. It would make knots and things like that. But they got Harold Brewster to cut the pole, and he brought it up to Sevierville and put it up. And then, of course, they mounted it on like a X pattern or something and probably nailed it to the floor. If you can climb it to the top, they had like $500. Well, what they would do, they'd start out, and they could climb maybe the first 2 or 3 feet. And then Willie and them would put Crisco, shortening. And the higher up they got, the more shortened. And you climb up a foot and slide back 2, the higher you got, And there was nobody ever climbed that greasy pole. But the people would come out, and these old boys and people would try to with all their might, And they also went to the stores, furniture stores, and got lamps and maybe a small TV or something like that, bicycles. They had all kind of prizes. And boy, it just drew everybody in. But nobody ever climbed it. And when the show finally quit, folded or something like that, I think Fred took the bicycles home to his kids and because they's already donated, but they would tell that the bicycle donated by so-and-so furniture company or whatever, But now Cas, and I don't know how in the world that he come up with this. And I know that this did not happen. Now you'll hear stories about this, that Dolly went down and Dolly was little, and she went down and got in the creek and got her clothes wet and then rolled in the sand and come up and climbed. That never happened. Now, I don't care who tells you it did. It never. You asked Bud Brewster, and Bud Brewster was there from 54, I guess it was, or something like that, or 55. He was there. He'll tell you. And if Willie was alive, he would tell you. And if the last time we talked to Fred Smith, Bud and I went to see him before he died, and we were talking about that. And of course, Willie was the one that put it on. And Fred said, "I don't care what they say," and we all was in agreement because I brought it up, I guess. And he said, "No, sir, nobody ever climbed the greasy pole."